When most people look at an EV, they think the battery is just the electric version of a petrol tank. But that is the wrong mental model. A fuel tank is passive. It just stores liquid. An EV battery is active. It is a tightly engineered electrochemical system, a thermal system, a structural system, and increasingly a software-managed system too. Inside that flat slab under the floor of the car, thousands of components are working together. Atoms are moving. Electrons are being pushed through circuits. Heat is being generated and removed. Voltages are being monitored every second. Tiny imbalances are being corrected constantly. And if any one of those things goes wrong, chemistry, temperature, current, pressure, insulation, performance drops, charging slows, lifetime shortens, or in the worst case, safety is compromised. If you want more deep dive explanations like this on EVs, batteries, and energy systems, subscribe to this channel so you don't miss the rest of this battery series. So in this episode, we are not asking whether EV batteries are good or bad. We are asking a more fundamental question. What exactly is inside an EV battery? Because once you understand that, you understand why range, charging speed, safety, cost, and degradation are all connected. Let's start with the basic hierarchy. An EV battery is usually built in 3 levels: cell, module, and pack. The cell is the smallest working electrochemical unit. This is where chemical energy is stored and converted into electrical energy. A module is a group of cells bundled together. Manufacturers use modules to make assembly, cooling, wiring, maintenance, and quality control easier. The pack is the complete battery system installed in the vehicle. It contains many modules, or in some newer designs, cells directly integrated without modules, plus cooling channels, structural protection, wiring harnesses, sensors, contactors, fuses, and the battery management system. So when a car is advertised as having a 60 kilowatt-hour battery, that does not mean one giant battery block. It means a carefully assembled system of many small electrochemical units combined to reach a desired voltage and energy capacity. Think of it like a city. A cell is a house, a module is a neighborhood. A pack is the whole city, including roads, plumbing, power lines, and traffic control. And just like a city, the system only works well if every level is properly designed. Now let's zoom in further into a single lithium-ion cell. At the most basic level, a cell has 5 major parts: cathode, anode, electrolyte, separator, current collectors. The cathode is the positive electrode during discharge. In EV batteries, this is usually made from a lithium-containing metal oxide or phosphate material, depending on chemistry. The anode is the negative electrode during discharge. In most EV batteries today, it is mainly graphite, though silicon is increasingly added in small amounts. The electrolyte is the medium that allows lithium ions to move between cathode and anode. It is usually a lithium salt dissolved in organic solvent. The separator is a thin, porous membrane placed between the 2 electrodes. It prevents physical contact, which would cause a short circuit, but still allows lithium ions to pass through. Then there are the current collectors, usually aluminum on the cathode side and copper on the anode side, which carry electrons into and out of the external circuit. This matters because a battery does not work by electrons floating randomly inside a box. It works because ions move inside the cell, while electrons move through the outside circuit to do useful work. That split pathway is the heart of the battery. So where is the energy really stored? Not in the electrolyte, not in the separator, and not as electricity sitting inside the battery in the way many people imagine. The energy is stored in the chemical potential difference between the cathode and the anode. When the battery is charged, lithium ions are driven from the cathode and inserted into the anode, usually into layers of graphite. This process is called intercalation. You can imagine graphite like a multi-level parking garage. Lithium ions are parked between the layers. They are not simply glued onto the surface, they are inserted into the structure. When the battery discharges, lithium ions leave the anode and travel back through the electrolyte to the cathode. At the same time, electrons cannot pass through the electrolyte, so they travel through the external circuit instead, powering the motor, inverter, pumps, lights, or electronics. That is the core electrochemical loop. Ions move inside the cell, electrons move through the wire. The battery's voltage comes from the difference in electrochemical potential between the two electrode materials. The battery's energy depends on both voltage and capacity. So chemistry selection is really about choosing materials that can hold enough lithium, release it reversibly, and do so at useful voltage with acceptable safety and durability. If you find this level of technical detail useful, subscribe to this channel. The next episodes will go even deeper into charging, chemistry, and degradation. If you want to understand battery cost and performance, start with the cathode. In many lithium-ion batteries, the cathode is the most expensive and strategically important material. It has a major influence on energy density, safety, cycle life, and raw material cost. Two of the most important cathode families in EVs are NMC, nickel manganese cobalt oxide, LFP, lithium iron phosphate. NMC tends to offer higher energy density. That means more energy can be stored per kilogram or per liter, which helps with longer range or lighter vehicles. LFP usually offers lower cost, better thermal stability, and longer cycle life, but lower energy density. Why does cathode chemistry matter so much? Because the cathode strongly affects how much lithium can move reversibly, what voltage the cell operates at, and how stable the material remains after hundreds or thousands of cycles. Nickel-rich cathodes can push energy density higher, but they can also become more thermally sensitive and more demanding to manage. Phosphate-based cathodes are generally more stable, but they store less energy per unit mass. So when you hear one battery is safer, one is cheaper, and one gives longer range, very often the explanation begins with the cathode. The anode often gets less attention, but it is just as important. Most EV anodes today are made primarily from graphite. Graphite works well because it can repeatedly host lithium ions between its layered structure with relatively good stability and efficiency. But graphite has limits. It can only store so much lithium per unit mass. That creates a ceiling on how much energy the cell can hold. This is why the industry is so interested in adding silicon to the anode. Silicon can theoretically store much more lithium than graphite. That means higher energy density and potentially more range. But there is a catch. When silicon absorbs lithium, it expands dramatically. When it releases lithium, it shrinks again. That repeated swelling and contraction creates mechanical stress, cracking, and faster degradation. So battery engineering is often a story of trade-offs. The best material on paper is not always the best material in a real vehicle. Over 10 years of charging, vibration, heat, cold, and daily use. That is why many battery makers use graphite with small amounts of silicon rather than switching fully to silicon today. The goal is to gain some energy density without sacrificing too much durability. In battery design, every improvement usually creates a new problem somewhere else. Now let's talk about two components viewers rarely think about: the electrolyte and the separator. The electrolyte is what allows lithium ions to travel between the electrodes. It must conduct ions efficiently, remain stable across a wide voltage range, work across different temperatures, and avoid decomposing too quickly over time. That is a very demanding job. Most current EV batteries use liquid electrolytes, which help with ionic conductivity, but they are also flammable. That is one reason thermal safety is such a serious issue in battery engineering. The separator is even thinner and more invisible to the public, but absolutely critical. Its job is simple in theory: keep the cathode and anode apart while still allowing ions to pass. If the separator fails, the electrodes may touch. That creates an internal short circuit. A short generates heat. Heat can trigger chemical breakdown, and that can cascade into thermal runaway. So these are not supporting parts. They are central to whether the cell is stable, safe, and long-lasting. A lot of battery progress does not come only from flashy new chemistries. It also comes from better separator coatings, more stable electrolytes, and additives that help form a stronger internal protective layer inside the cell. Sometimes small materials science changes have system-level impact. A single lithium-ion cell only provides a limited voltage and limited energy. To power a car, manufacturers must connect many cells together. There are two basic ways to combine cells: in series, to increase voltage; in parallel, to increase capacity. If you connect cells in series, their voltages add up. If you connect them in parallel, their capacities add up. EVs need both enough voltage and enough total energy. Higher voltage helps reduce current for the same power level, which can reduce resistive losses and allow more efficient power delivery. That is one reason some newer EV platforms use 800-volt architectures instead of around 400 volts. But combining cells creates a new engineering challenge. No two cells are perfectly identical. Even when made in the same factory, cells differ slightly in capacity, resistance, self-discharge, and aging behavior. Over time, those small differences can grow. That means the battery pack is not just a big container of equal parts. It is a living system of many imperfect units that must be continuously monitored and managed. And this is exactly why pack design and battery management matter so much. The more cells you combine, the more system engineering becomes essential. From the outside, a battery pack looks like a box. In reality, it is a very dense package of electrochemistry, mechanics, and thermal control. Cells must be held in position so they can survive vibration, potholes, shocks, and crashes. They must be electrically insulated so current flows only where intended. They must be cooled so temperature stays within a safe and efficient operating range. Why is temperature so important? Because batteries do not like extremes. If they are too cold, charging becomes difficult and can damage the cell. If they are too hot, degradation accelerates and safety risks increase. That is why EV packs include thermal management systems using air or liquid cooling, cold plates, sensors, and software control. A good battery is not just about chemistry, it is about keeping that chemistry in the right operating window. The pack also includes structural shielding, crash protection, contactors that disconnect high voltage when needed, fuses, current sensors, and isolation monitoring. So the battery pack is not one component, it is a whole subsystem, almost like a machine inside the vehicle. And that is why battery engineering sits at the intersection of chemistry, electrical engineering, mechanical design, and software. So what is inside an EV battery? Not magic, not one miracle material. And not just lithium. Inside an EV battery are electrodes, electrolyte, separator films, metal collectors, cell casings, wiring, cooling paths, sensors, control electronics, safety devices, and a structural enclosure that must survive years of stress. More importantly, inside the battery is a set of tradeoffs: energy density versus safety, charging speed versus degradation, cost versus performance, and range versus material stability. That is why battery progress is never just about finding one better chemical formula. It is about optimizing the entire system. If you remember only one idea from this episode, remember this. An EV battery is not a box of electricity. It is a controlled chemical system designed to move lithium ions and electrons in a predictable, reversible, and safe way thousands of times. If you enjoyed this breakdown and want to follow the rest of the EV battery series, subscribe to this channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss episodes 2, 3, 4, and 5. And once you understand everything we covered here, the next big question becomes obvious. How does charging actually work, and why is fast charging so difficult? That will be the focus of episode 2.